good to be here. Good to see everyone. I know we got a couple fewer bodies with both men's and women's basketball having a win yesterday. So excited for both Jory and Dave and their teams respectively. Got to get back on the road this week and got to go 1-0, and that was our goal. We had talked about it a week ago at the press conference, and we talked about it all week long. We talked about making sure we understood what our identity was, being physical, being consistent in the run game, straining to finish, or just a couple of the things that I think over the course of the week we stressed to our guys. I think we showed up and played with energy. Our execution and communication needed to be better. We saw some of that. There's some things we still need to clean up, of course. There is, in my opinion, there's no such thing as a bad win. Every win is good as long as you can continue to learn from it and continue to get better. Two areas that I think are critical for us is second down efficiency and third down efficiency. I thought defensively we did a much better job after I think we gave up the first three third downs of the day. I thought our guys settled in and we did a good job getting off the field. I think we ended up like 4 of 16, so that was a positive. Offensively, just still not where we want to be as far as converting on third down. I felt like we did a good job of being in front of the chains on first down. Second down was kind of iffy, and so there's things that we need to continue to work on. We've got to get ourselves in more third and shorts when we can, of course. And then the last thing I was excited about is we had over 40 players play 10-plus snaps during the course of the game, and I thought I was impressed with some of our backups, the energy that they played with, the energy on the sideline when those backups got in. And then, the ability of our young guys to keep the shutout. They knew it was important. It doesn't happen very often in college football these days, especially when everyone wants to throw the ball over the yard and there's tempo and all these things you have to defend. From that side, seldom do you see shutouts anymore. And for us to be able to go down the road and get a shutout is a step in the right direction. Of course, I don't think anyone in the football office or meeting rooms will say it was the end all, but it was a step in the right direction. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Describe the offensive line switch and moving Cordell back to his spot and Cody to left tackle. Is that kind of just emblematic of what you were talking about last week?
Well, just some things that we thought, let's get back to a little bit of comfort level. Cody's extremely athletic, has done a tremendous job. You go back a year ago, he played the ogre position, tight end, got a ton of reps, ton of experience. I think we just needed to settle in a little bit. And how could we do that? Let's start with two of our veterans, guys that have played for us. It gave us a good changeup during the game. You saw us get into some tackle over, which I think was good for us as well. It gave us 3 offensive linemen to the 3-man surface and a tight end on the backside. That's just different for teams. How are you going to close the front? How are you going to get lined up to it? And it allowed us to run at the big 3 offensive linemen. And you saw that on their sideline. We kind of had some push on that scoring drive where Kobe ran out of bounds. I think, we got after it a little bit. There was more consistency in the run game, and that was a positive.
What is it about Jalen Bussey? I mean, it seems like every time he gets the ball, it's a touchdown.
Well, he does a great job he understands the blocking schemes. He understands his reads and his keys, and knowing that, a lot of our stuff, we want to hit things out the backside. Just the way we block things, especially in our gap scheme. But, and he has a great burst. He can accelerate and get at full speed very quickly. He's much stronger of a back than I think a lot of people probably give him credit for. You look at him and you're like, oh, he's a jitterbug. Well, no, he's a pretty powerful kid. He works hard. Coach Kramer's done a great job with him in the weight room. And we're fortunate that we have that depth at running back right now because Jalen can do some things. He's on special teams. He has great hands. He can catch the ball, but he also can get downhill on some of our inside run game.
Speaking of running backs, Canelo, is he making strides to be that everyday back that 10, 15 carries?
Well, I think he's making strides. I don't know if I want to anoint him right now, but what you see is and maybe a better answer for you, Jeff, is you're seeing a back who can play every down. He can be in there in protection on third down. He can be in there on early downs, which makes him extremely valuable to our program. And it gives us 3 guys that can do that. with Kobe, Jalen, and Dom, and Dom's done a great job, and Coach Bashorner's done a great job of getting him ready to go. But yeah, you throw Nate Goldaddy, who's traveled with us the last couple games, really starting to get healthy, lost 15 pounds, which was critical for his development, his moving forward. And then TK Marshall had a quick little knee surgery early in the spring season, was behind a little bit, is now traveling. We need to find ways to utilize him as well because he is extremely talented. But that's a good room right now. We're trying to use all of them the best we can to spread those reps out.
You travel 10 true freshmen? Something like that?
I didn't add them up.
Up now.
Well, I know that at the end of the game we had a lot of them on the football field. And I was excited. As excited about that as I was the win. How those guys got out there and competed, got pressure on the quarterback. It's good to see. They're starting to understand what it takes to be a Bison. They're starting to understand the nuances of a couple, 3, 4 handful of calls. And that's what we got to continue to do. We're developing depth and all spring long.
Fixing those second, third down efficiencies, kind of how do you go about teaching that? Kind of how do you go about adjusting that? It doesn't seem like something you could just fix.
Some of it has to do, put ourselves in good situations where their communication, but identify what the deficiency was first and where the breakdown was. Why were we in a third and long versus a third and short? And if we can rectify that, or just do we need to continue to call plays that we're efficient at, that we're good at? We talked last week that maybe we need to continue to shrink the package to enable our kids to play fast. I'm still advocating for that. Let's keep it simple for now. The good thing about it, they're all going to continue to get experience. They're all going to continue to grow. Just like a year ago, when we had Trey here, our first couple games weren't elaborate game plans. We just wanted to make sure we could operate, and I think we got to keep that kind of same mind frame as we go through the spring.
No forced turnovers the first 2 games. You started to change that a little bit. Was there a difference? You guys in better spots defensively?
Better spots. Continue to emphasize it. Coach Braun does a great job. Every day there's some sort of circuit. If it's tackling, ball or takeaway circuit, ball disruption circuit. I think just to continue to emphasize it. Wish we could have had a few more. Dom Jones, you almost had an interception handed to him on their sideline. There's a couple other. If we don't have the PI, Sam Young should have had probably a pick on the when they tried to run the taper fade to against Jazeer during the course of the game. But it was good. You remind me at the same time, Jeff, we got to continue to stress ball security. We had the ball on the ground too many times offensively on Saturday, so that's something that we need to continue to work on and make sure that's a priority. The ball is the program. If you don't have it, it's hard to win.
How different is this team without James Robinson to look at?
Well, you talk about if memory serves me correct, a guy who was probably in one of the finalists for Rookie of the Year in the NFL. We defended him twice last year, and I don't. The second time was as nerve-wracking as the first time because you knew where the ball was going to go, and you held your breath because you knew he could break a big one. And extremely fast, strong, physical back. They still have some really good backs. Always impressed with them offensive line-wise. Illinois State, traditionally one of the more physical teams in our league. Have some really good players up front. The run game's changed slightly, but they're a run-first organization, and we're going to have to be ready to go.
Jefferson improved his arm from what you saw from the quarterfinal game now 18 months ago.
Yes, I think they're more comfortable with him in a 5-step game, moving the pocket and letting him make some throws now, where they might have tried to protect him late in the season last year, especially in the playoffs.
Though, isn't he? What? Describe his.
I think he's a huge threat. The drop back to scramble game, issue that he creates, and you saw that Saturday evening against Northern Iowa. I think he was the leading rusher for Illinois State, but very little of it came on design quarterback run. It came on scramble. It came on quarterback draw. Back to the ball defense by you and I, and I'm going to take off and get what I can. as long as I can get out of the pocket. So we got to really do a great job of maintaining the pocket. He seems to like to avoid pressure. He'll roll out the back door. He'll try to avoid out the front door. Seldom does he step up into the pocket. So our DN's got to do a great job. If we're going to game them up front, we got to be really on our toes and make sure we're keeping contained.
Midway through the spring season here, where have you seen the most growth from your team, and what are some areas that you're still working to rep on and some concerns?
Well, of course, the thing that we've improved at the most is still our biggest deficiency, and that's depth right now. You have a team in the fall, and the roster looks like it did, the 2020 team. And then, as I've mentioned numerous times, I think we started the fall with 6 or 7 senior offensive linemen. Now we have 2. That hurry up to mature, that race to maturity has been put on a premium right now. Really pleased with how our young guys have continued, and our coaches have worked with them, not just now, but all the way back in the fall, of getting them ready for the spring season. But there's so much room for them to grow, and just understanding the details that lie in the game. Right now, Gray Zabel played really well on Saturday as an offensive lineman. He knows he's in a 100 level class right now. By the end of spring, he's going to be in that 300 level class, starting to really understand what he's doing and the different fronts and communication that are a piece of it. Just same as a DJ Hart, wide receiver. He's going to understand coverages. He's going to understand how he fits into things much better. But no one feels sorry for the Bison. We got to continue to get better, and that's why I'm excited to get to practice.
Few games now. How does this all feel?
Unusual, to say the least. I think we've gone about it the right way. Of course, you never want to lose. I suppose a lot of people are out there probably saying, well, you guys had a plan to lose. No, we didn't. We're trying to get better every single day. Like I said, we're going through a season right now a little bit with a spring ball roster. This is the normal time of the year where Gray Zabel's trying to get right so he can be the backup in the fall, not all of a sudden be thrust into having to be the right guard for us in a critical down and distance. And so, regardless of that, like I said before, no one feels sorry for us. Everyone in the country is going through that. I think part of it was a lot of our seniors had played a lot of football and said, I have a wedding coming up. I have a job that's already aligned. Life took over, and love those guys to death. They were a huge part of the 2019 season and the 2020 one-game season that we had. But this is kind of our 2020.2 roster right now. But as I mentioned earlier, on game day, I am extremely excited about our young people. The last 5 plays of the game on defense, we had 7 freshmen, true freshmen, I believe, 2 sophomores, guys who played for us in 2019, Wirtz and Ladarzik, a junior, and potentially another sophomore in there. The fact that those guys were able to keep them from moving the football, maintain that shutout, but get that experience is critical. So, that was step one, and I hope they all come back to meetings today and ready to energize because, hey, you know what? I do have a chance to play here. I can make some big plays at special teams, offense or defense.
Kramer handles the specifics, but can you describe the end of this week with the NFL coming to town and then also trying to prepare for a football game on Saturday?
Well, we are going to address it with the football team today. There's no reason to try to avoid the white elephant. We're going to give the expectations to our players. We're going to allow our guys to be on the west stands if they want to come in and watch, which I'm sure they do. Majority of these guys are good friends with both Dylan. Marquise Bridges is going to come back and work out. He had a number of different opportunities this last fall and didn't get a pro day a year ago. And then of course Trey will be here, be supportive, watch. But part of the reason why we scheduled it for the morning so we can keep a status quo afternoon. And I'm going to remind the guys that our number one priority is to make sure that we are prepared to play and be competitive on Saturday. Trey, Marquise, and Dylan, they're going to do their thing. We got to make sure we do our thing.
That's a big deal for you, isn't it? Having NFL Network and ESPN here on Friday. I mean,
It is. I probably haven't grasped maybe the size of it yet. Just getting into the early parts of game planning and trying to make sure that we can continue to get better. Probably the makeup of our football team distracts me a little bit from some of these other things right now. Trying to be involved more with the defense, give some ideas offensively to what I'm seeing. We anticipate. Illinois State's a very good football team, traditionally one of the better teams, if not one of the best teams in the league. And my priority is to make sure that the 100 or so guys that are currently on the roster are ready to go.
and then it got changed at the line of scrimmage.
As far as what?
Fake punt.
Yeah, it was called from the sideline. There's some certain looks that we won't run would not run one. But that the time was right. We needed to get a little bit of energy going. Told the football team that we needed to be aggressive, and I thought no better way than to try to emulate that myself. I can't get out there and help them with the play, but trying to be aggressive from the sideline and let them know that I believe in them and that we're gonna put ourselves in the best situation to win. And you go back and watch it. Ross Kenley has maybe the block of the year right now but you look at the sideline and the energy and the excitement. That's what we got to continue. It's okay for our guys to get excited, and I referenced that a number of times on this trip that they have permission to play fast, play with energy, play with that excitement that we need.
Wagner, any concerns Voigtlander is a running back. What about Wagner? Was he?
Wags is athletic. Anyone who has that type of haircut has to be athletic. You can't have that and not be confident in your abilities. Yeah. Garrett is he's a unbelievable punter, and in my opinion, one of the better punters probably in the country. As far as directional hang time, he hit that 67-yarder the other day, and that was a huge, and our coverage team Ross Kenley does an outstanding job. The battery, if you will, of our specialists, Ross and Riney and Garrett. How fortunate are we to have some veterans and leadership in those roles that you take them for granted. And I know when those guys are done playing for the Bison, it'll be different not having those familiar names and faces there.
Next year?
Don't know that right now. We're going to have to figure some of that out here in the near future. Just as, roster management, I was joking, it might have been with my wife the other day, that roster management looks like the movie, is it a Wonderful Mind? Russell Crowe? Just Beautiful Mind. One big equation right now that you're trying to figure out. But it's a unique situation to find out, what guys want to come back. And I think some of it has to do with, how does the spring season end up? Unfortunately, I don't know if any of us have firsthand knowledge of what it's going to look like 2 weeks from now.
Coach, we do have a question for you online. Eric, go ahead.
Just describe the value of Cordell Volson. You just talked about some of the inexperience on the offensive line. What does a guy like that, bring to that group? Well,
I'm going to give you a great example. During the course of the game, a play was incorrectly signaled in, one that we had not repped this week. And, of course, we had one of our freshmen, Gray Zabel, in there. If you watch the film, you'll see Cordell lean over, whisper in his ear, and all of a sudden, before you know it, we have about a 20-yard run. Well, just having that experience, that knowledge to say, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. You don't think Gray's not comfortable or the confidence in Gray. When I line up next to one of the best offensive linemen in the country, I probably start to play a little bit higher because I have to maintain the expectations. And so, the way he comes to practice every day, the willingness to communicate, help our young guys, he remembers, and I remind him often that 3-4 years ago, our seniors talked about him like he talks about our freshmen, that they got to get better, they got to figure it out. Well, Joe Haig said the same thing about you, Cordell, and so, help these guys move ahead.
So is that what the line flip was? Maybe getting an experienced guy on each side of the line? Was it as simple as that with keeping Nash on the left side and moving Cordell to the right side?
Well, I think, Cody's pretty experienced. He played a lot of football last year. I think it was just getting back to where the majority of their reps had been taken and a little bit of a comfort level.
And then just finally, it looks like the tight ends maybe got more involved in the backfield and moving them and maybe even playing like an extra offensive tackle. Is that something new, or just describe their part of the game?
Well, what you're referencing is we got into some tackle over, had a two-man surface with a nub side tight end and 3 offensive linemen the other side. It gave us just a little bit different run surface. You go back and watch the game, Missouri State kind of struggled. We went on first sound a couple times with that scheme as well. They didn't have a chance to adjust, and we saw some positive plays out of it. Again, trying to find things that we can do that are similar, just out of different formations where we can take advantage of some leverage. Tight ends have to continue to be a critical part of our game. Screen game, run game, down, another touchdown by the tight ends. We have some really good ones. We have some really good young ones. Travis Yankee, Joe Stoffel, Logan Hofstedt had a huge block, pancaked a slot area defender on a slant play. And you just see those guys gaining confidence and wanting to be or play a bigger role in the game plan. So Tyler Roll does a really good job, and we got to continue to utilize those guys. You got 6'6", 266 targets. There's a mismatch there.
The one where he pulled and pancaked that guy?
Yes, I believe so. It was counter sweep. Yep, coming back to our sideline. Yeah, we hadn't repped it all week. We signaled it in, and I don't know if we saw it just wrong from the huddle, but at least we say it all the time. If all 11 of us are wrong, we have a chance still to be right at the end of the day. And they all got the wrong play, but they all executed the play correctly.